King Aegeus of Athens, dogged by misfortune and childless through the enmity of Aphrodite, established her worship in Athens and went to consult the Delphic oracle. It enjoined him not to untie his wineskin till he reached home again, or he would one day die of grief. On his way back through Troezen, he told his story to King Theseus, who, guessing that some notable birth was prophesied, led Aegeus while drunk to the bed of his daughter Aethra. Later in the same night, she was commanded in a dream to wade over to the island shrine of Athens, where Poseidon also lay with her. When Aegeus awoke, he left his sword and sandals under an altar of Zeus, telling Aethra, if a son were born, to send him to Athens as soon as she could lift the stone. This feat Theseus achieved when only 16. He was then already a youth of heroic size and strength, skilled with the lyre, and the inventor of scientific wrestling. Choosing to travel to Athens by the isthmus the hard way, in order to prove himself against its dangers, he overthrew in single combat all the monsters and tyrants who made its travelers their prey. In Megara he killed the giant sow, Phaia, and in Eleusis slew King Kirkion, who slaughtered wayfarers by forcing them to wrestle to the death. When he reached Athens, the witch Medea, his father's mistress, divined his parentage, and to secure her own son's succession, persuaded Aegeus that this formidable youth was a threat to his throne. Aegeus prepared a poisoned cup to give him at a public feast, but Theseus displayed the sword in the nick of time. Aegeus dashed the cup from his lips and joyfully embraced him. The witch escaped in her chariot, drawn by the winged dragons. Aegeus adopted Theseus as his heir amidst public rejoicing. Pallas, the former heir, and his 50 sons were killed by the young prince or driven into exile. Theseus won further honor by taming a wild bull which was ravaging the Marathon plain. Soon after, however, the city was plunged into mourning by the arrival of the Cretan tribute vessel, with a demand for the boys and girls regularly sent off to be devoured by the Minotaur. King Minos of Crete had been provided by Poseidon in answer to a vow, or a bet, with a magnificent bull for sacrifice, but had kept it for himself. As a punishment, Aphrodite visited his queen, Pasiphae, with a monstrous passion for the bull, which she consummated within a hollow cow made for her by Daedalus, the master craftsman. Their offspring was the Minotaur, a being with a man's body and a bull's head, who fed on human flesh. To conceal his shame, Minos had an impenetrable labyrinth where he withdrew from the world, and in the heart of the maze concealed the Minotaur, introducing a supply of human victims in his den. 7 youths and 7 maidens. Theseus, some say by choice, others they drew lots, departing his father, King Aegeus, if he lives, when his ship returns, take down the ceremonial black sail and put up the white sail. On his arrival at Crete, Minos mocked his claim to be the son of Poseidon and challenged him to retrieve a ring thrown into the sea. Theseus received from the sea nymphs not only the ring but the golden crown of Thetis. His exploit caused Minos' daughter Ariadne to fall in love with him. She gave him in secret a ball of thread with which to retrace his steps through the labyrinth, and a sword to kill the Minotaur. The deed accomplished, Theseus gathered the Athenian youth, but the girls were imprisoned apart. Theseus had prepared for this in Athens, training two brave but effeminate-looking boys to take the place of two girls' victims. These unbarred the women's quarters, and all the victors escaped to Athens, taking with them Ariadne, who, however, Theseus abandoned on the island of Naxos. Dionysus, finding her there, became enamored of her and made her his chief of his Maenad train. Coming in night by Athens, in sight of Athens, Theseus forgot to change the mourning sail for a white one, with the result that a Jew in grief leaped off the Acropolis, or off a high cliff rock, into the sea. Theseus thus succeeded to the throne. During his reign he is said to have unified Attica and given laws to its three estates, landowner, farmer, and craftsman. He was famed for his protection of ill-used servants and slaves, for whom his shrine remained a sanctuary down to historic times. Perithous, king of Lapith, raided his cattle as a challenge, but the young warriors took to each other in the field and swore eternal friendship. Theseus also took part in the Caledonian boar hunt and the battle of the Lapiths and Centaurs, and is said to have emulated the feats of Heracles. In a foray against the Amazons, he carried off their queen, Hippolyta. Later her people in revenge invaded Attica, but Hippolyta stood by him in the field, where an arrow killed her. Before this, however, she had borne him a son, Hippolytos. After her death, Theseus sent for and married Phaedra, King Minos' youngest daughter. Hippolytos was now a strong and beautiful youth, devoted to horsemanship and to the chaste cult of Artemis, his mother's tutelary deity. Soon Phaedra was seized with a consuming passion for him, and begged her old nurse to plead her cause. Upon his shocked refusal, she hanged herself, leaving a letter which accused him of her rape. Theseus, convinced by the fact of her death, drove out his son and invoked the death curse entrusted to him by his father Poseidon. Hippolytos drove his chariot along the rocky coastal road. The gods sent a huge wave, bearing on its crest a sea bull, which stampeded his horses. His battered corpse was brought back to Theseus, who had learned the truth too late. Thereafter, Theseus's luck failed him while helping Perithous attempt to abduct Persephone. He was confined in the underworld in torment for 4 years, until Heracles released him. On his return, he found Athens sunk into lawlessness and sedition. Failing to restore the rule of law, he cursed the city and set sail for Crete. On the way, he stopped at Skyros, where, through his host's treachery, he fell off a rock into the sea. And that's the end.